Hey everyone, I'm 10 Types, and today I'm going to be reworking Pokemon Trainer in Smash Bros. First of all, I want to say that I really like Pokemon Trainer's implementation into Smash Ultimate and Smash Brawl. Smash 4 Pokemon Trainer was kind of cut, so that was unfortunate. But I liked him in both games. But Pokemon Trainer didn't get a rework in Ultimate. They added Green, which was cool, I guess, but that didn't really change the gameplay. They changed Charizard level as well, which was kind of cool, but I think Pokemon Trainer could be a little bit more, so I want to go over that in this video. First of all, the current Pokemon Trainer has obviously 3 Pokemon, being Charizard, Ivysaur, and Squirtle. So there's a few things about this. One, they're cool. They cover the 3 main types and like the starters, but also the 3 different stages. But they're all Gen 1, right? So we have newer Pokemon such as like Greninja and Cineroar, Lucario to cover the newer generations, and they're cool. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. They're not the Pokemon Trainer, right? The Pokemon franchise is supposed to be represented by the Pokemon characters in Smash. I think Pokemon Trainer does a pretty good job of that, where you like choose your Pokemon and stuff, which is very important to any aspect of Pokemon. Obviously, I play the TCG, but like with the video game, it's meant to represent the anime as well. And any other aspect as well, including Go and whatever. So they're all Gen 1, which isn't ideal, but I kind of get it. But then they only represent 5 of the types also. So not all the types are represented in Pokemon. So I think you kind of know where this is going, where I'm going to try to include some more types and more generations. And then also you only have 3 choices of Pokemon, so that's kind of cool, but Pokemon Trainer isn't really for everyone, which is okay, but I'm going to rework Pokemon Trainer, not giving exact move sets. You'll see what I mean in a second. But also, I'm not going to be necessarily balancing the character. The character might end up being a little overpowered. You'll see. So what I want to do is, for the new Pokemon Trainer, I also have a picture of Blue here. I think Blue could be a new inclusion as like another trainer. It doesn't matter too much. It could be various characters from the anime as well, rivals, stuff like that. But each type I want to be represented, and each generation represented. And then that gives you like a bunch of different Pokemon, and you choose 3 before each match. So you still play with the same 3 Pokemon, or the same number of 3 Pokemon. There'll be different Pokemon, and then you can essentially customize your Pokemon trainer to your own liking, where you can kind of have the different Pokemon you want. They're not all the same; they're all different, but you can kind of customize your team and enjoy how you like. So the Pokemon trainer can really be a cool character for everyone. Because let's be honest, in Smash, not all the characters are as cool as others, but Pokemon trainer could be cooler. Right now, there are people who just like Pokemon trainer for one of the Pokemon. Personally, I don't really like Ivysaur much at all. I don't think Ivysaur is fun to play as. So also, Ivysaur is not very iconic. Like the basics and the final evolutions are more iconic than for pretty much all of them. So I believe all the ones in this video are either basics or final evolutions. Yeah. So also, I'm gonna unsurprisingly be taking some of the other Pokemon and putting them into Pokemon Trainer, because I don't want Pokemon Trainer or Pokemon to have like a ton of reps in addition to all these Pokemon from Pokemon Trainer. So I'm gonna incorporate some of them, but the ones I'm gonna keep separately, definitely Pikachu. Pikachu's not part of Pokemon Trainer. And also Mewtwo. Mewtwo would probably be separate, very iconic Pokemon. It still likes Gen 1 having more representation, but it doesn't need to have like a ton with like Pokemon Trainer plus all these other ones. Maybe Jigglypuff as well. I was considering putting Jigglypuff on this, but you'll see in a second. And unsurprisingly, I'm going to cut some of the other ones from Pokemon Trainer. So I want each type to be represented once. There are 18 types, so I'll have that represented in 9 dual-type Pokemon across all the 18 types. And this means that some types are giving like a secondary typing, but I think for the most part, they're all represented pretty well. So if you have your favorite type, you do have a Pokemon from that rep. And then you also see that each generation will have 1 Pokemon. So there are 9 generations. They're all from like the base game, so there aren't any like Paldean or forms or anything like that. And there isn't anything from the Hisui region. I just didn't want to do that. So you choose 3 before the match, but then there are 9 in total. So let's look at the Pokemon. They're not all new, obviously. The first one's going to be Charizard. So this is going to be the Gen 1 rep. I think this makes the most sense. I think Charizard is now not necessarily like the only and the most heavy Pokemon, so I wouldn't hate giving Charizard another jump. Its recovery is kind of sketchy, but it would pretty much maintain the same. There don't need to be any changes, and of course it's fire flying, so a really cool Pokemon. I think like the most obvious one, so no other Gen 1 reps. And also by the fact that they have to be dual typing, this does eliminate a few other Pokemon like Squirtle, Blastoise, whatever. And also it eliminates all the evolutions, which are the only Pokemon that I kind of wish were on this list, but it's still not having them is not the end of the world. Next up, we have another Pokemon that makes a lot of sense, another final evolution here, another stage 2, being Greninja, who's Water Dark, and I think Greninja represents both those types pretty well. Being from Gen 6 here, I think it's like the obvious inclusion already in the game. So the Down B, there's still going to be the Down B for Pokemon Switch or Pokemon Swap. I don't know the move of it. The name of the move, but it would not be counter anymore, which could be some way shifted into the up B. Or not. Or the side B, I guess, probably more likely. I don't know. It's just a counter. It's kind of cool. Greninja has one of the cooler counters because it can like spike, but it's just a counter. Yeah, so not too many changes there, and an obvious inclusion. Next up, I believe the final one that we're going to include here from the base game, because of course with Charizard added, we can now, as well as Greninja, we can now no longer have Incineroar in it. So Lucario we're going to have here as Fighting Steel. I think another obvious inclusion. The aura mechanics like kind of weird, as it's very much character defining, but I think it makes Lucario fun. Would actually make him a bit better, because now you could play as like whoever at lower percent, someone who's just better, and then when you get to higher percent, you switch to Lucario. So maybe need to be toned down a little, but I think Lucario is still a really cool character. Now you don't need to play Lucario at lower percent, so that's fun. Next up from, this is a new one, the first new one, I think the most obvious one, it's heavily requested, and that's going to be Decidueye here. Decidueye is super cool, Gen 7. I think just like the coolest one. Incineroar also is cool, but I think Decidueye is cooler. Grass type, Ghost type, which is probably going to be the least represented type in this video, least like worst represented, I should say. But Decidueye would probably play, obviously have that like bow aspect. So I don't know if it would just be like one bow move. We obviously someone like Byleth having multiple bow moves, but they really don't feel like bow moves. They're just kind of like swinging stuff. So Decidueye would play possibly, if you've seen mods with Decidueye, Decidueye is, I believe, put onto Falco. It, of course, depends on the mod. But yeah, Decidueye could have some like grass type moves with like Vine Whip type moves, projectile moves with its arrow, bow and arrow, which is cool. As well as just like some solid moves. So I think Decidueye would play somewhat similarly to Falco, possibly definitely with some projectile gameplay. And I think Decidueye is just a cool Pokemon, probably a bit floaty. I think very similar to Falco. Not like identical, obviously. As I said, I don't have movesets for these characters. If you want me to make movesets, I'd be glad to do that. Obviously, it's a bigger deal, though. Next up, this was, I think, the final pick for me that was pretty obvious, and that's Gardevoir. Again, another stage 2. So I was considering having three basics, 3 stage 1s, 3 stage 2s, but I ended up going with 4 stage 2s because Gardevoir is like cool. I think Gardevoir is like an obvious pick, obviously a very popular Pokemon. And I think like the best rep from that gen is a Psychic Fairy. So very good representation of those two types. Gardevoir would kind of be floaty, like I guess Mewtwo, like big and floaty and light. And then you could also have like some. Obviously, Gardevoir is a Pokeball. If you didn't know that, I believe Gardevoir is a Pokeball in Ultimate that has like a reflector thing. So that would probably be somewhat implemented into Smash with some projectile gameplay, kind of like Zelda. I think Gardevoir would be pretty similar to Zelda. Obviously, you got like that dress type of thing. So Gardevoir looks kind of similar. I believe Gardevoir in mods is put onto Zelda. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's what it is. And so you'd have some like projectile stuff. Yeah, I haven't actually played the video games. In case you didn't know, I have not played them much. But Gardevoir is a really popular Pokemon, and I think another obvious inclusion that could easily be put onto a Smash character. And if there was a Smash character introduced as a Pokemon that wasn't Pokemon Trainer, I think Gardevoir was a decent pick, or obviously Decidueye. But next up, we have a bit of a newer one, right? I needed one from the newest generation. So Gen 9 here, we have Grafaiai. I think Grafaiai is a really cool Pokemon. Obviously, immediately, I think when I was looking at this, I noticed some similarities to Inkling from Splatoon, which I think is fine, right? Because Grafaiai is a really cool Pokemon with... I know it has that like ink type thing. It's small, it's fast. Could play, I'd say, somewhere as a cross between Diddy Kong and Inkling. Decently fast, but still like not the fastest in the game. Light to midweight type of attributes. Small. Could even play sort of like Pikachu, but probably a lot like Diddy Kong and Inkling. So I think honestly, I think Inkling is a kind of a failed character in Smash Ultimate. Like not many people that I know play Inkling or enjoy playing Inkling. If I could like bring that element, I don't know if it would actually have ink. It probably wouldn't, but or not the same ink mechanic of Inkling, but I know I think Grafaiai can make a really cool character. I wasn't sure who to put in from Gen 9. I was also considering Cyclizar, even Baxcalibur, but Baxcalibur is not as cool. And also, I think this is a good rep for Poison and a good rep for Normal. It feels really a nice mix between the two, and just an easy and fun character to play with. Next up from Gen 8, this is the one. I actually posted a poll about these last four. So if you've seen the poll, you know what the Pokemon are. Or you might if you remember. But we have Snom here. So Snom's a really fun one. The first one that's not fully evolved. Snom is Ice Bug. I think a really good rep of these two types. And also like a silly one. I honestly am not entirely sure how this would be implemented in Smash. Probably like light, obviously, and slow. I was thinking kind of like Jigglypuff, but obviously Jigglypuff's a very aerial fighter. So I don't know how Snom would be implemented. Possibly kind of. So if you know Bonsly from Smash Brawl, I believe was the only game Bonsly was in as a Pokeball. It's like super strong. When I say super strong, I believe it was a one-hit KO move. But yeah, like super slow, something kind of silly. Obviously, Jigglypuff is very powerful when it hits. Like Rest is just super strong, so it could have something kind of like that. But I think Snom's a really funny Pokemon, and like something like Piranha Plant as well, which is just a weird one, was implemented so well. I think Snom could easily take over a similar role to that. But I think Snom makes more sense because it's a funny Pokemon, a lovable Pokemon. The thing could be like a very powerful Pokemon as well. It would need to be like amplified to almost a cartoonish effect to be on the same level playing field as all the other characters. But I think that'd be really fun. Next up, I have Larvitar from Gen 2. I'm honestly not a big fan of Gen 2. I like Pokemon, but Gen 2 just isn't my thing. A lot of people don't either. But I was thinking Larvitar works pretty well and also fills in one of the remaining types. Rock Ground, a classic combination. Also putting Rock and Ground together feels kind of nice because, I'm one of the people who doesn't think that they should both exist. If your favorite types are Rock or Ground, I don't know anyone whose favorite types are Rock or Ground. But yeah, you got Larvitar. Larvitar is actually like a very small Pokemon and like a really heavy. It's I believe the densest Pokemon there is, but I'm not sure how you actually measure that because you don't have volume. But anyways, Larvitar is a super cool Pokemon, a decently popular one, and just like a fun one. I don't know how it would play, but it would be, I imagine, pretty heavy and small, obviously. I don't think it would be too fast. It would probably just be like a heavy. Obviously, you got that horn. I think it could kind of play, like that horn could be an important aspect. Could have like earthquake type moves, just like a really solid Pokemon, kind of like Donkey Kong, or like not like the grappling aspect of Donkey Kong, but like the heavy attacks of Donkey Kong. I don't know. I honestly, Larvitar is also one of the Pokemon I wasn't sure how to implement. But because Larvitar could be too strong. Because it's like a small heavy that's kind of fast, but probably I need to make Larvitar very slow. I think Larvitar was one of the ones I was not sure about either, but I think it's a very solid option as well, and like a fun one, heavy hitter, and just kind of silly because it's so small yet so powerful. And I don't know what character in Smash would necessarily be like either. I said like Donkey Kong. That's not like the best one. Maybe Bowser. I can't think of other like small heavies. I guess like Plants also like a small heavy, but not really. And lastly, we have Zekrom. So Zekrom obviously stands out quite a bit because Zekrom Gen 5, my favorite generation. I wasn't sure what to put from this generation either because Gen 5 does not have a lot of iconic Pokemon. But the legendaries, I honestly didn't really want to include a legendary, but this was the only one that really fit the bill, and I think it was actually a very solid inclusion. And Zekrom's like a cool Pokemon, but it's not like one of the big legendaries, not to the same extent of like like Mewtwo, right? So I think Zekrom is really cool. Dragon Electric represented really well here, and then you have just like a super cool Pokemon. This is one that I'm nervous about getting overpowered, kind of like the really problem too big for Smash. Zekrom shouldn't feel slow. I think it needs to be decently fast, heavy, needs to be have a decent recovery. I think Zekrom would be a lot like Ridley, except obviously Ridley has some fire type stuff. Zekrom has some lightning type stuff or electric type stuff. And I don't know. I think Zekrom would be a lot like Ridley. Could be kind of like Charizard as well, but obviously you want to differentiate yourself as much as you can from Charizard. But I think Zekrom's really cool, but I'm interested in hearing what you think of these Pokemon and who do you choose to do if you had to rework Pokemon Trainer, or if you think, I don't think Pokemon Trainer needs a rework. I don't think Pokemon Trainer will get a rework, but I think it would be cool if Pokemon Trainer was redone and like improved a bunch. So yeah, this was also inspired by Ember Power's video loosely. If you want to see like a kind of similar video, check out Ember Power. I will have that video linked down below in the description. But I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I'm excited to see you next time. Also, if you enjoy this video, I'd love it if you subscribed. I'm going to do some more Pokemon content and more Smash content in the future, and check out my other videos, because I think you'll like them. But I hope you enjoyed, and as I said, I'd love it if you subscribed, comment down below your thoughts, and like the video.